Valentino fragrances are getting a lot of attention and traction on TikTok and Instagram. It seems like every single day I see a creator talking about these, but not just the creators. The comment section always rave about these. I think I have the entire lineup today, except for some of the ones that got discontinued, like Rock Stud Noir. And I just want to talk to you guys about like the ratings and what they actually smell like. Are they hype worthy or not? Have I contributed to the hype? Maybe actually, just a couple times. So let's go ahead and get started with the first and the best fragrance. This is going to be very subjective, but for me, I'm talking quality. I'm talking about scent profiles that make you stand out and just overall bang for buck. Number one place for me is going to be Uomo Intense. This was what placed them on the king map. It's like the only contender right now to Dior Homme Parfum. I will say though that I still favor that one more so. And the reason is that this one holds on to the Mandarin for a very long time. Scent profile of this includes something of Mandarin, tonka bean, very rich, sweet vanilla as well, with a super buttery ass iris and leather combination. So it does definitely go in that realm of something like Dior Homme Parfum. However, this one does intensify the nature to it and removes anything animalistic, at least to my nose, coming from the oud. So in a sense, it might be easier to wear, but easy to wear is far from what this fragrance is. Both of them are relatively harder to wear because of how strong they are. There's a clary sage, it's an aromatic natured fragrance at the top, very mild, and then it just turns into this very rich leather, mandarin, and buttery iris fragrance. The best one, easily. Masculine, rich, extremely robust scent profile. Look at me getting all crazy with the words. But anyways, it's just a very thick ass fragrance. It's so strong and it's extremely attention grabbing, but you have to be confident to rock something like this and Dior Homme Parfum. A lot of guys will say that it's one of the best fragrances, but they won't say that it's polarizing. So that's very important to note. I would personally say if you can sample this, sample it, but if you like that lipsticky iris that you'll find in Dior Homme Intense, etc., try this one out. So for the most part, a lot of the masses know what Dior Homme Intense smells like, and for that reason, I'll use that as a differentiation, or the one that we're going to compare with. Dior Homme Parfum is an Eastern exclusive that I truly enjoy, but more people have DHI. So DHI is a little bit more diffusive, coming from that ambrette and musk, so it seems like a more transparent and easier, not as thick and ambery, right? You spray it on and it projects nicely. It's still relatively soft. This one removes all of that. It's richer, it's ambery. Imagine taking that projection and really intensifying it, bringing it into more of like a marshmallow texture versus a cloud. That's the best way I could describe it. So very rich, and that's pretty much it. Longevity, it'll last for days on clothing. Number one, it's a 10 out of 10, but it is polarizing. Number two is one of the most underappreciated hazelnut fragrances. It's got hazelnut, it's got that powdery lipsticky iris and chocolate. It's Valentino Wo, the original. This is also a very robust and rich scent profile. You can overspray this one, but it's night and day difference between the Uomo and the original, or the Uomo and the Uomo Intense. This is like the nighttime and this is the daytime. However, because of how dense and rich both of these scent profiles are, it's only for the fall and the winter time. This one I've tried to rock during the spring and summer and it comes off far too cloying, but it is one of my most complimented whenever I do have the guts to wear it. The actual notes includes myrtle, so there's this little bit of salty accord that's beautifully contrasted with chocolate, coffee, hazelnut, leather, and cedarwood. Just think of like your favorite desserts of like chocolate or chocolate chip cookies with a little bit of salt. The salt always enhances those flavors, and that's what the myrtle does with this one. Lighter in scent profile, but still a relative to Uomo Intense. The Uomo Intense goes farther into the darker realm of things. Think black versus brown. I'm colorblind, I swear to God. Anyways, this one actually does dry down into a pretty hefty dose of leather, but it's a creamy iris-infused style leather. It doesn't say that it has iris in the notes, but it's absolutely there. It's the backbone DNA of the Uomo prior to doing the whole Born in Romas. I love this scent profile, and I wish that they would go back to this or kind of, try to phase them back in. Instead of just phasing them back in, they should just keep this line and expand on the whole Uomo DNA, because like these are excellent, and unfortunately, it's fragrances like this that are designer realm that have a niche territory or aspects to it that don't really succeed and get discontinued. And I can understand it from a marketing perspective. These brands are just out to make money. They don't give a shit whether or not you like these and you think it's niche and artistic. That's ultimately the reality. However, there are some brands, I mean, you could argue and say that they care because they kept these available, and God willing, they continue to keep it available because these are actually excellent fragrances for what they're worth. I would personally give this a 9.75 just because I like the Uomo Intense more. I have to emphasize on the fact that these are rich ass fragrances. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for people who are looking for signature scents, etc. But they are amazing, amazing. And they smell much more expensive. So it utilizes that iris back when Dior Homme and Dior Homme Intense still had the iris. These were the contenders to that realm. This one kind of contended with Dior Homme Intense, but I find it to have a little bit more of that hazelnut. It kind of gave me like Stronger With You meets Dior Homme, the original. And the original one was not that fresh. It was actually closer to like Dior Homme Intense or current day Dior Homme Intense. So you could potentially say it has like the Stronger With You meets Dior Homme Intense vibe to it. More rich and more robust. In terms of the occasions for both of these are like dates and special occasions for both. The seasons for both of these will also be the fall and the winter time strictly. However, they did have a limited run, or what seems like a limited run because it got discontinued. And this is Valentino Wo Aqua. They also had a couple of other ones that are now discontinued, and there's no point of talking about them because they're discontinued, but I would personally place them at the top ratings. The entire Uomo line was the freaking best. And Valentino, bring them back, please. Like, bro, like it's not, I won't even help you sell them. Like at this point in time, I feel like the market is shifting towards looking for like, it'll sell itself, bro. They're amazing. So yeah, top two. 10 and a 9.75 easily. I would place the Uomo Aqua, Noir Absolute, and all that good stuff. But let's talk more so about what's available here today. And honestly, I bought backups of both of these because I feel like, because it's not many people are talking about it anymore, it's likely to get discontinued. So now we're gonna start veering into the more recent releases, and that's going to be the Bor Romas. There is one last one that I wanna mention before we move on, and this is called Oud Essential, also marketed for women, the all black one. Very polarizing and super intense. To see a designer go in this realm of barnyardy ass oud and musk is kind of refreshing, and it honestly, it's a shame that it didn't succeed, but I can understand why it didn't succeed. It's not for everybody, and even for me, honestly, in the dry down, it started to get really, really testy. Moving on, starting off with the best Bor Roma, it's going to be Coral Fantasy. Hands down the best one, that's it. These Bor Romas were starting to tread into the territory of like mass appeal. And what I'm about to say is going to really take home the idea of why they shifted away from these scent profiles. These are the most famous Valentino fragrances. Nowadays, everybody knows the Bor Roma series, but a lot of people don't even know what the Uomo and Uomo Intense smell like. And so what they set out to achieve, they accomplished. And from a marketing perspective, it absolutely makes sense. It's got a little bit of sweetness. It's not too cloying by any means. A hefty dose of this aromatic clary sage kind of gives you these tea vibes, which seems relatively sweetened, although there isn't a note of vanilla. I get this vanilla accord, this classic lavender and the apple cardamom combination. That's the attention grabber at the top, with just enough freshness to allow this one to be one of the most versatile sweet fragrances in the designer realm, period. A lot of people will recommend this for the fall and the springtime. I think that you can rock this fall, spring, and winter time, and even during the summer nights. It's got the versatility, it's got a little bit of freshness and aromatic. It's not something that's like vanillic. It doesn't go Stronger With You style sweetness. It definitely tones that down a bit while still having something that's different enough. The tobacco and patchouli combination in the dry down is what really sets this one apart from other mall fragrances. Aside from that though, it's still not like the most spectacular thing in the world. And when you place it against more unique and really artistic and just stand out ass fragrances, it doesn't really stand, you know, close to. However, in its more current realm, it definitely does stand above a lot of the current designer fragrances. And for that reason, I would personally still give this around a 9.5 out of 10. And the reason is like I said, look at what else we have out there. So in comparison, it's a 9.5 out of 10. It lasts pretty much all day. It gives me compliments. I can wear it almost all year round. I can't really think of anything I would want more, except for that, you know, more unique scent profile. So in its realm, I could definitely appreciate it. I would love to see them kind of add a little bit more polarizing aspects, but that's not the case with the whole Bor Roma line. Next up is going to be Bor Roma Intense, and this basically takes that original DNA and really intensifies it, adding lavender and some absolutes and what seems like a richer scent profile. It's still relatively fresh, and I would personally say that you could rock this all year round. They don't really give us too much of a note breakdown, but I would imagine that it still has a lot of the same notes that you'll find in the original, just more intensified with a richer lavender, a richer vanilla, and a heftier dose of some of that vetiver. I don't necessarily get any of the mineral notes that you'll get in the opening of the Bor Roma, the original. It does still seem like it has the amber woods and the ginger you'll also find in the original because of its zingy nature. In fact, it seems like it has an even more crisp and attention-grabbing ginger note to it. So definitely more attention-grabbing, head-turning than the original fragrance. So guys that are like going to school, I find this perfect for you. Like you want to go to school, you're going to the gym in school, you want to get attention from the little girlies in school, you know, focus on your books. That was the best I could come up with. Focus on your books. For those of you that are a little bit older, it's not necessarily going to be like the best thing in the world, but it is simpler and easy to like. It actually reminds me of a very similar ginger use that you'll find in like YSL L'Homme. It was very crisp and attention grabbing and head turning actually, but unfortunately that one doesn't perform. This one does. It's sitting on a denser base of rich vetiver, so it is going to still be attractive and appealing to those of you who are, you know, a little bit in your 30s, etc., that go to the office. The note of vetiver, generally speaking, is found in a bit more masculine and I would say grown style DNAs, so this has the best of all worlds. Simple as that. I would give this one a rating of an 8.75 out of 10. It's really good. It's easy to wear all year round, but I mean, it's not like anything that I'm just like, oh my god, I'm gonna wear this over like Coral Fantasy or anything like that. Coming in at the next spot is going to be the original Born in Roma. The original Born in Roma is simple, it's classic, it's really nothing that's going to be spectacular either. It kind of reminds me of like polo fragrances that are aromatic, that are fresh, a little bit zingy. They will get you compliments, that's what they're designed for, so it's not a bad fragrance by any means. I just wouldn't place it at more than like an 8. Although I will say that even in its realm for like daily signature scents, it does place pretty high up there, even in comparison to some of those polo fragrances, because it's got the longevity. I've never gotten less than like 7.5 hours specifically on clothing, making it one of the best office and like school and, you know, casual wear fragrances. Nothing spectacular by any means, and it's as simple as that. We're not going to over complexify it because it's just mall fragrance with a little bit more than just that because of its specific use of vetiver. I just think that vetiver does something else. It's polarizing to a certain degree, its use at least in this one. And it doesn't necessarily mean that a little bit of polarizing makes a fragrance good. It's just, it makes it a little bit more unique, that's all. And the fact that they were able to utilize it in a mass appealing way gives it bonus points. So an 8 out of 10 is a solid scoring system for that. At the right price, of course. If you can find this on discounters, check the links down in the description. Authentic and cheaper. Don't buy it at retail. And if you find it for the right price, consider grabbing it. I was pretty excited for Yellow Dreams release. I saw gingerbread, spices, ginger, and pineapple at the top with vanilla dry down. Like, yeah, that sounds amazing. And what I ended up with is a fragrance that it smells really good, and it definitely places me in like Christmas festive vibes. That's sweet. It just smells really good. But it then just reminded me of like Stronger With You, but more synthetic smelling, and not in a good way. It doesn't necessarily smell bad by any means, but that spice or something in here just goes, it goes kind of like plasticky. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, it's definitely putting me off towards the scent profile. I think that in the air it smells fantastic. It's just a little bit too sickly. There's something cloying in there. It's not because it's strong. There's just something cloying in the fragrance. So it's not a bad one by any means, but it's not something that I would personally recommend or wear. I almost every single time would pick Stronger With You over this one. It knows where it's going. It's not, I mean, sure, if you spray it too much, and for some people it can be cloying, but when you're in this territory, you're already in this. And for that reason, I would go with something else, like Stronger With You, the original. So for me, I would give this a score of like a 6.5 out of 10. It's not really it. In terms of its longevity, it lasts all freaking day. And if you still like the scent profile, which there's nothing wrong with that if it works for you, I would say that this is the most fitting for the fall, the winter, and maybe even during the early spring. This is going to be perfect for like, you know, the holidays very specifically, obviously because of its use of gingerbread. And simple as that. For the right price, I guess it's not the worst thing in the world. And in fact, my brother really likes this one, and I got him a second bottle. I kept my bottle for referencing and purposes of like this, obviously being a reviewer. This year, they then released Uomo the Gold 2024, or Born in Roma, Uomo the Gold. So it's kind of like a mashup of like that means this, but it doesn't really smell like that. This kind of places me in the vein of more recent releases from even Paco Rabanne 1 Million the Gold, where they're all trying to do this solar, basically a fresher, more transparent style, fresh woods. They all kind of remind me of like Louis Vuitton Lovers, Santal 33, except this one is weak. Simple as that. So it's not a bad smelling fragrance by any means, but a lot of you guys out there that are used to this Born in Roma DNA are gonna find that it seems more mature. Because like I was saying with like the note of vetiver, a lot of woods and fragrances does exude a certain amount of like luxury and sophistication, but also maturity. So this one's gonna appeal more so for the mature folks, like 27 and up. I don't really see the youth enjoying this one at all, honestly. So if you're a guy that's out there, it's 27 and up, looking for, you like that woody, almost like, you know, sawdusty quality fresh woods, it's a good one. You're gonna like it. A little bit powdery, fresh, slightly vanillic and ambery as it dries down. There's nothing bad in that scent. But in regards to how it compares and stacks up with some of these other ones, I didn't really enjoy it. And the last, bit that was like the cherry on top, the eau de toilette concentration of this fragrance wouldn't have been the problem if it lasted. Because I have plenty of eau de toilettes that'll last sometimes even, 8 to 10 hours. This one, however, did not give me more than about 6 to 7 hours. Could it give you more? Very likely and potentially, but for me, that's all it did. And in fact, I started comparing it to some of the other releases that released before this, even 2 months prior, the 1 Million Gold. And it has a lot of similar notes, like the solar notes, right? This is just some chemical synthetic that gives it like a fresh, synthetic freshness, basically, as simple as that. And it also has nutmeg. 1 Million is known for that mandarin nutmeg combination, but also the cedarwood, hefty dose of cedarwood, and maybe even the ambers and vanilla. Except that one lasted. It actually lasted like a solid 8 to almost 12 hours. So if I was in this realm, I would rather go for that. And that, it's still not like the best fragrance in the world. If you like fresh, woody, you're going to like that. It does smell more expensive, a bit more mature as well. And for that reason, it does lead me into scoring this one like a 6.25. I don't think it smells bad by any means, but do understand that we are comparing this with the other fragrance. And for those of you that are watching right now, like, oh my God, it's one of my favorite ones, I understand and keep on rocking it. Does not smell bad by any means, but in comparison to other new releases, in comparison to how these last, how they smell, etc., mass appeal, it's just not it for me. So a 6.25 is what I would give it. Otherwise, for the occasions, you can signature scent this and even dress it up. It does have the elegance. I would personally spray this one like 8 to 10 times, and I would personally say that you can rock this to dates, hanging out with the bros, and everything during the spring and the summertime. It does have a certain level of sophistication. If it had a little bit more performance on me, I think that I would give it at least a 7, but it just didn't work out for me. It's as simple as that. Last place on this list is going to be Valentino Bor Roma Green Stravaganza. I was very excited for this release because it had vetiver, coffee, and some citruses. I also thought it would be like the original DNA meets some kind of ambery coffee. The ball dropping point of this fragrance is that it smells cheap. It smells like, pretty affordable and cheapies that I've bought in for like 30, 40, 50 bucks. And actually some of those are even better. I don't really know what this one's trying to do. I get a little bit soapy, I get a little bit mass appealing, just designer-esque, maybe a hint of like coffee here and there, and that's pretty much it. Very uninteresting. I wore it once and I was like, dude, I wish I wore something else. It's just not really the best in the world. I do get this roasted coffee with some citrus, but that's it. And it's so plain, it's so boring for me personally. I would probably never recommend, I would never recommend this just because there are like other fragrances that stand out a little bit more. Look at all the other options that I would personally recommend over it. And especially, or even if we were talking about coffee-based fragrances at this price point, it should be better. Like Halloween Man X is something that's cheap that I get better from that. And in fact, you can even get like a niche discounters of Amor Cafe by Mancera for less than that. It's gonna be more polarizing, yes, but it has really good aspects. If you want coffee, it'll give you coffee. So this one was kind of an excuse of that. I mean, it doesn't smell bad by any means, just nothing spectacular. So my personal rating for this one would be like a 5.75. A little bit above neutral and not anything bad by any means. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is rating all of my Valentino Born in Romas and, well, all of my Valentino fragrances. My name is Neeb. Thank you for tuning back into AROMATIX. Make sure to subscribe because about 60 to 70% of you guys are not. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.